Alright, welcome to episode 115 of What Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw the Persian invasion along the Islamic country into the Central Asian country, which I don't love this border, but it's alright. So Central Asia's gone, the remnants up here in the north, united with the Aral country, so goodbye to them. We saw perhaps another war in Europe. I think the Italians invaded Catalonia in the last episode. I'm rubbish at remembering what happened in the last episodes. I know you invaded. Wait, did you? Brazil invaded southern Brazil. I remember that. And there was a war in Japan where the Japanese islands united. So maybe I'm just kind of confused. That's 5 wars. We did 4 last time. Some stuff happened. Anyway, first off in today's episode, we're going to see the Polish invasion into a very small country right over here in Europe. And it's always been a very small country, which means it's not Romania, because they were kind of big-ish at one point. But no, it's into this yellowish guy over here. Apparently there's nothing important on the Polish border, so Polish troops start to invade, and then basically in sync, the Allied. Wait a second, can I just? Yeah, the Allied people of Ingria and Caucasia, who aren't actually allied, but they're both communists, so they kind of like each other quite a lot. They start their invasions. So Ingrian forces move in the north, whilst Caucasian ones move in the south, and they push towards the eastern territories, as Polish troops instead move towards the capital, taking that with ease. This poor country's got and they're not going to win this. These are all top 20 countries that they're facing. Ingria instead starts to work towards the center and takes the other major city, whilst the rest of the country, if it's even fighting at this point, falls over to Caucasia. And there we go. That's the end of that country who did absolutely nothing in their entire history. Alright, and the partition goes along something like this, with the southern area heading to the Caucasians. The Polish don't gain very much, because these guys gain everything else. But there you go. That nation is now gone, and Ingria looks even bigger and cooler. So do the other ones, but more Ingria, because I like Ingria quite a lot. They're pretty fun. Anyway, they're not fun or cool enough to get into the top 10, unfortunately. They keep trying though, and they form Russia. Maybe they can. The year is now 2053. Number 1, 2, and still the same. Brazil, however, is now in number 3, which is quite scary. They've moved quite a few spots, but they're number 3 now. Number 4 is now the Norwegians. 5 Morocco. 6 is Poland. 7 is Britain. 8 is now what? It's now Vancouver. I don't know if they were there before. I don't really remember. Tibet's in number 9, and New England is in number 10. Their economy is accelerating very fast because they've got loads of cool, important stuff. So there we go. Isn't that good for them? Anyway, a load of scary fascist countries, really. I lost where I was. Yes. War. Yes, we need to do more wars. Over here to Bulgaria. You've had a fascist sort of oligarchy controlling your country for a while, and you haven't done anything about it. So it's about time you do. Because Bulgaria will finally be with their new fascist government, or not very new, it's been there for like 20 years. Invading this small little blue country. They've owned them for a lot of their history where they've existed, but they got independence because they're part of the Arabic Union. So Bulgaria has to reinvade them today. They invaded them during World War IV, but then gave it up because they were pretending to be all democratic. But now they're fascists, they can just do whatever they like. So they invade over here on the western side of Istanbul and take over this eastern Thrace stuff, and they move across the coast here, sealing off the Bosphorus, and they take over both of these major cities around the capital area. From here, there's basically no defenses in this area, as most of the country's forces are in protecting the capital city. This city falls, and they basically take control of the western side of Istanbul. At this point, it's extremely poor. Well, not extremely poor, but like extremely unmilitarized country. While they're losing over in the east, and they're slowly moving towards Istanbul. And with that, everything kind of scrambles and falls apart. The leader is killed, and the Bulgarians win this pretty small-scale war. But it's not too bad, and it's actually some really valuable territory, so it should do well for the Bulgarians. Anyway, they're now gone, and Bulgaria is bigger and cooler. Nice. Anyway, where to next? Because I'm not really sure. I think there might have been some stuff I want to do. But I don't know. Over here to America, or South America more, we need to go look at this area. Currently the Peruvians are the only communist country in South America, which is very scary for them. But to their north, one other country has decided to move over to the influence of some of their surrounding neighbors as the nation of... okay, I did the wrong bit. The nation of northern Peru, they become fascist like Brazil and just Chile, whatever you call it. Yes, they're fascist now. Also, they're going to form their own alliance together, which I don't know what shape to make it. We've got a square one up in North America, a circle one, diamond ones. There's no triangle. Do we have? We already did the. Yeah, let's make a triangle then. In South America, right? So the Brazilians, and they're kind of small and a lot weaker ally, but not super weak. Not like there, but they're not nearly as strong as Brazil. They form their own alliance together, and with the addition of Northern Peru as a fascist country, add them into the alliance. There's now 3 fascist powers here in North and South America, and 2 in the north, which is pretty scary. 5 whole fascist countries in the Western Hemisphere. But speaking of these radical ideologies, we do actually need to go to the religion layer, because recently the fascist countries have been purging the religion within their own territories. Culture, I'm not really going to do anything with, but religion, yeah. However, the communist countries are doing a weirdly similar sort of thing, and that's very strange. So how does that work? Because they're obviously not going to do ethnic cleansing as a communist country, but instead we see the spread of atheism, as these countries are kind of distanced from the fascist countries, are so like obsessed with religion. These countries are like, I don't really care, and yeah, they're all interested in atheism. So we see around like the main urban areas of these countries. So over here in France, a lot of the spread is going to be in some of the most economically important areas of the country, like Brittany around the capital area, potentially maybe down here in Bordeaux. I mean, Bordeaux is rich in real life, so here maybe it's also rich. Something like that. I kind of want to change these borders. So there we go. These are the first areas of France to become atheist. I will fill in the capital in a bit. I think I might do lots of the communist countries who are having this effect off camera, because otherwise it's going to take me like 10 minutes to do. Alright, so I've done all those different layers. As you can kind of see, it's mostly around the urban areas where people are like more educated and I guess against fascism. I don't know. Basically all the communist countries have this. There's also areas in Ingria, Norway, Germany just has some quite large areas, whilst Caucasia's got quite a lot. But it doesn't really spread into the European areas. It's more that the Caucasian religion is quite weak in its faith already, because it's really divided and small. Quebec country is quite a lot, like all its populated areas, and the same in South Africa. I might have missed some communist countries, but there's just not really that many, and it doesn't matter. So anyway, that's cool. And I might do some fascist stuff depending on how long I have left. We'll see. Anyway, I forgot where I'm gonna go for the next bit, so give me a sec. I remember now. Yeah, it's actually a country that makes total sense to move to fascism. It's Libya. So the Libyans, they had a civil war post-independence, like immediately after independence, and that was because there's a lot of different ethnicities and religions in Libya. As you can kind of see, there's like Roman, Carthaginian is the main one, Greek, and some of the Roman from the Turkish colonization. So it's not too much of a surprise when Libya turns into a fascist country. So now they're kind of close to the old colonizer in Italy, who's also fascist. But then they're going to open up cooperation with a different country, being Hijaz, who's more of like a regional ally. And there's one country in between both of them, and unfortunately that country is Egypt, who might not have a very good day today, as the Libyans and the Hijaz country both at the same time start an invasion into the nation of Egypt, who is one of the stronger countries in Africa. However, Libya is not like super weak, and Hijaz is very strong, so yeah, you're not in a good spot. Hijaz forces move over here in the Sinai Peninsula and push towards the Suez Canal, which is quite well defended. However, it pulls troops away from the Libyan front, so Libyan forces move into both of those cities and start to move through some of the areas that are like close to the capital, but not too close. At this point, they reach the Niger Delta area, and they are kind of stopped, as most of the Egyptian forces crowd around there. Luckily, they don't really need to worry about the other borders too much. This country is very weak, and Sudan doesn't really have any claims on these guys, so they're kind of fine there. But they do kind of have to worry about the fact that Hijaz not only has a very good army, it has a very good navy. So they make a landing over here, and they manage to block trade going through this area, and it leads to a lot of problems up here. And they manage to take the Suez Canal, and now the capital city area in northern Egypt is being attacked. And most of the forces are diverted to this territory, which allows for the Egyptians to make some counteroffensives in the south. However, up in the north, the Libyans and the Hijaz people are doing a pretty good job at moving in and they manage to finally meet up in the southern area, but the capital still manages to hold out for a while longer. At this point, mostly like siege forces and lots of machinery and engineers are left in the north, whilst the main army groups start to move down to the south, following the Nile River and made cities in there. Although these guys are also dealing with coastal cities, so these two are captured in naval invasions. Lots of the Egyptian navy is destroyed in the fight to the Suez, and there's still some navy protecting the northern areas over here so they can get trade out to people. Anyway, Libyan forces kind of far away from lots of stuff, so they're going to make sure to push down here a bit more, take us from these cities and fight along the Nile with Hijaz. This war is going quite quickly, like on the screen, but for the actual people fighting in it, it's like the most brutal war that Hijaz had to fight, maybe since World War IV. I don't know. They didn't have a huge involvement in World War IV, but Egypt is proving to be quite difficult to take down. The people do have a fairly strong national identity, like it's not a super powerful one. But as a stronger country, the people feel more proud to be Egyptian. And Libyan forces continue to move down, actually moving to the end cities of this country, whilst the capital is completely surrounded. And once that falls, most of the morale in the country also dies. This bit is a huge economic hub of the country, but when Hijaz takes over that, everyone else in the country gives up, and now they can head over to a peace treaty. Alright, so the peace treaty has been completed. Hijaz did get significantly more, but they also did significantly more fighting, so it kind of makes sense. Libya gets the main stuff they wanted though, which is this eastern territory. It's kind of where the people they like live. And there you go. So Hijaz got a pretty good deal from that, and they're now a lot stronger. This is tens of millions more people. I mean, look at that. There's so many cities. But yeah, Libya can now actually start to do some really horrible stuff. So let's get to that. The Libyans are actually like Carthaginian religion people on the most part. So they're going to try and convert everyone to Carthaginian religion. They've just got a load of new Roman faith people, and since they quite like these guys, actually they probably wouldn't kill those guys. The Hijaz country, they're not going to ethnically cleanse that territory, but they're going to get rid of a load of the Greek people who've been here since like forever, since when the Greeks defeated Carthage in episode 23. And yeah, they just start to purge a load of stuff in the northern part of their nation until there's just like a very small Greek and Roman area. Over here, lots of the Roman stuff is quite hard to remove because Roman people, there's quite a lot of them. It ends up something like this. So there's that, and the Hijaz country is going to have a load of fun dealing with the huge ethnic mess that is Egypt and Sudan if they ever invade that, which they definitely could, so that's scary as well. Back down to South America, which has recently become a lot more important. We're actually returning to the red Chilean country because today they'll be invading another nation. The Allies are kind of doing something, maybe, but it's not a super hard country to invade, seeing as most of this nation is like Patagonian territory, which is fairly useless-ish. Don't tell this guy, they're just chilling. But yeah, red team forces start to move down. What? Oops. They move down over here in the north, and they push towards this major city, and also this one right in the center somehow. Might be quite mountainous here with these lakes. But the capital city isn't too well defended, and the red team manages to take it without too much trouble. Over here they just defend their border. Apparently there's quite a lot of cities in this country, just because the coastline looks cool. But the military has almost been entirely destroyed in the defense of the capital city, so they have a pretty easy time. Finally they just send out the navy to take this island as a base, and they start to navally invade these different areas. It gets quite cold and glaciery, but maybe it's fine. And they take this peninsula. These bits are quite defended just by geography. However, they're going to go around the Drake Passage and land down here in the south, take over this entire island, which is Horn Island, down here. Yeah, the geography is weird. I haven't really ever done a war in this territory before, so it's quite fun. From this point, though, they start to move south, and the brown team's just being swarmed by red forces up in the north. It's quite bad. At this point, there's only a few major cities left remaining, and they're not even really major cities. People like troops, probably mostly paratroopers. They're kind of faster, aren't they? I don't know. Maybe people in planes just start to fly down or move towards these cities and take them. Whilst over here in the north, they also do like a pincer movement, and finally both the cities are taken. The rest of the country isn't really populated at all, and once they take over the entire coastal area, I didn't realize there was this much out being in control in the north. I I failed in talking. Yeah, it just falls over to the red team. And there you go. In the peace deal, the predictable stuff happens, and now the red team has kind of just become ultimate Chile, which is just real life Chile, but it's a bit bigger. And they look really cool, and South America looks really different. So that's quite a lot of fun. North America hasn't changed too much. I mean, New England's definitely different, and Vancouver's big. Quebec's kind of bigger, but the rest of the countries are basically the same. So that's a shame. But, you know, more continents are finally getting involved. Back over to the African region, however, I did forget to do one thing. Or not forget, it's definitely intentional, don't worry. The Libyans will be making their entrance into the Circle Alliance. Makes a lot of sense. They get on really well with these guys. So, yeah, that's on a circle. Yeah, they joined the South American one. Yeah, makes a lot of sense that they would join, and there we go. Libya is the newest member into this alliance. All the countries in it are pretty strong. They're all like regional powers, I would say. Maybe not this guy. I mean, they're pretty strong though. So potentially. But there you go. There's a lot of alliances in the world. There's only one communist alliance, and that's quite worrying. There's this democratic alliance in Central Asia. Yeah, the Central Asian countries should not have left that, because that's where they got destroyed. And there's a fascist one in North America, a fascist one in South America, a fascist Middle Eastern one, and then a fascist European one. That seems like an excess of fascist alliances, but there you go. This is a pretty horrible world to live in. I'm not sure there's anything else I really need to do in this episode, so we might be kind of good. But there's probably something I meant to do. Oh well. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye.